Hey guys, hello and welcome to my channel again. So today we are going to discuss one more topic from basic statistics, and that is of course for data science, and that is called as normal distribution. So we will understand today what it is when it comes to normal distribution and what are the characteristics are there for the normal distribution. So that's going to be the topic for the today's session. Okay, so for those who are watching it for the first time on my channel, for them this is my this slides explains about me. These are my curriculum details or career details. Okay, I have already prepared one video for my introduction. You can please watch it from my channel, search for it, right? And this is going to be the episode number 9 for basic statistics for data science, and the topic today, as I said, is going to be the 14th one: what is normal distribution and its characteristics for data science, right? So we have already created these 13 videos. This is just the list I have updated over here so that for you to easily find out with the subject names, because these are the subject names I have given to my videos. So of course, starting from introduction of myself, that is Pranav Gandhi, then data science with Python and R curriculum, what is data science and machine learning, etc., how to download R Studio, Anaconda, Spider, Python, etc., etc., right? And then we have seen, so this is just only about download it is talking about for R and Python. I'm going to cover up a very basic level programming or coding for all those beginners who are very new as far as R language, Python language, or for that matter any language. Okay, non-IT background people, for them it will be very helpful when I create that. Okay, so that is pending from my side. Then we have started with our agenda topics, and broadly the classification I have given for the agenda of the curriculum. For that we have already made one video, you can go through that. And from that I have picked only one module, and that is for basic statistics. And for basic statistics we have already created these 9 episodes where we have discussed about what are different types of data, random variable, what is probability, probability distribution, examples of probability, what is sampling or sampling frame, then the first moment of business decision, second moment of business decision, which are nothing but mean, median and mode, and variance, standard deviation and range. Then we have seen third and fourth moment of business decision in terms of skewness and kurtosis. And in our last video we have seen the graphical interpretation techniques, okay, by using box plot, histogram, bar plot. So 3 plots I have already covered. In the entire curriculum I think we are going to cover up around 15 different types of plots, right? So 3 plots video has been already uploaded in the last session, and today we will discuss about normal distribution and its characteristics. So let us first understand theoretically that what is normal distribution, right? So a distribution is a distribution. We have seen already in probability distribution there are 2 types of probability distribution. One is continuous probability distribution and the other one is discrete probability distribution. So in that particular episode we have seen the example of discrete probability distribution. Now today we will see the example of continuous probability distribution. So whenever a distribution is a continuous probability distribution, it is called normal distribution. And you will call it as normal distribution that if that probability distribution for a continuous variable is symmetrical on both sides of the mean. Mean is a measure for continuous data, right? So the right side of the center is a mirror image of the left side. You can see it in the diagram. So this data is 50% on this side and there is 50% data on this side, and these two images are mirror images to each other, and it is separated by the central tendencies of the data, mean, median and mode, right? And because it is a probability distribution, so we have already seen when we discuss about discrete probability distribution, if we toss a coin, there are only two possibilities, that is head and tail, and the chances associated with them are 1 by 2 and 1 by 2. So when we add up to them, we got it 1. When we toss a coin, and when we roll a die, we had 2, 3, 4, 5 and 6. Only these possible options available, and the probability associated with each value is 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6, 1 by 6. So if I add them, then how much it will become? It will always become 6 by 6, means it is going to be 1, which means that the probability associated, right, with not probability associated, the probability, the area under the curve, the area under the curve is always going to be equal to 1, which means that if I plot a continuous data, and if the data is normally distributed, then it must look like this, okay? And because the probability associated with each value within that continuous data is plotted over here in the graph, if I add them, all the values, probabilities, then it should be equal to 1. I will explain this with an example. Okay, for now just be patient with it, right? So the area under the normal distribution curve represents the probability that the area under the curve sum as to 1. Most of the continuous data values in a normal distribution tend to cluster. What is cluster? Grouping up. Tends to cluster around the mean. You can see over here, most of the data points will be lying over here, because this is going to be the frequency of it on y-axis. If I plot a histogram, okay, we have seen the histogram, right? If I plot the histogram, then how we get the plot? It plots like this, right? Something like this, okay? And this is what? It is making a bell-shaped curve, right? So all the values available, so I am making a bin size over here. If suppose I am plotting a weight from 1 kg to 2 kg, then this is the first bin, right? Then up from 2 kg to 3 kg is third bin. 3 kg to 4 kg is fifth bin. Now every person who is between 3 kg and 4 kg has been measured over here, right? So probability associated with each of that person has been calculated over here, or this is the area which talks about or deals with the probability of the person having a weight between 3 and 4 kg. So if I plot all those random variable values like this on a histogram, then what happened? I will get, if I get a peak like this, okay, and a bell-shaped curve like this, right, where the 50% data is lying on this side, 50% data is lying on this side of mean, median or mode of that particular data set, right? And the tails are asymptotic, means what? They are not touching anywhere on the x-axis, okay? They are not touching it over here, okay? So the distribution, the normal distribution or the curve, bell-shaped curve will be always like this. It is almost going parallel or going closer but not beating it to the x-axis, right? So which means that they approach but never quite meet the horizon, that is x-axis. The normal distribution is often called the bell curve, as I said, right? So this is a bell curve. Why? Because it resembles like a bell. Its shape resembles like a bell. It looks like a bell. If I plot the graph with the probabilities versus density, then it looks like a bell. It is also called as Gaussian distribution, right? This distribution is also called as Gaussian distribution. And why it is called as Gaussian distribution? Because it is named after a German mathematician who has first described it, and his name was Carl Gauss, and that is why it is also called as Gaussian distribution. So this is the normal distribution for you. Any data, if suppose I am having a column like age, so age may be having 23 years of old, 27 year of old, 47, 58, 25, 17, 19, and there are some 1000 records like this, or let's say 100 records like this. Now what happens if I plot a histogram, and if that histogram is appearing like this, then only I will say that the data is this data. This data is normally distributed. So there are some techniques while using the histogram. We have already learned the histogram how to plot, but there are some parameters to be passed on so that you will get the distribution curve and all, and you will get an idea whether the data is normally distributed or not. But what are the characteristics of a normal distribution? Those characteristics are very, very important, right? So let us understand some of the characteristics as well, right? So for a perfectly normal distribution, which is very rare to achieve in a normal course, because if I ask you to take the age of a person from maybe Delhi, all the people's age from Delhi, so you will try to collect it, or maybe the data is available and you plot it, right? So you may not find it exactly a normal distribution at times, okay? It may be skewed distribution possible, right? So if there is a perfect normal distribution, then what are the characteristics? The first one is the mean median mode will be the same value and visually represented by the peak of the curve, like this one we have seen just now, right? What is the other characteristics? The normal distribution is the most important probability distribution in statistics, because many continuous data in nature and in psychology as well displays the bell-shaped curve, right? So bell-shaped curve is another characteristics, right? So first is mean median mode has to be at center, and 50% data will be on both sides of mean, median and mode. It's like a mirror image of each other, okay? And then it should form a bell-shaped curve. So these are two characteristics, right? And to understand it in a better way, if you take example, okay, of a randomly sampled 100 individuals, okay, and for these individuals you take anything, maybe their heights, maybe their weights, maybe their blood pressure, right? So for example, if suppose I'm trying to collect the data and plot it, or I'm having the data and I'm trying to plot it, let's say for the newborn childs, right? So newborn childs maybe for XYZ year, maybe 2019, and for area something like let's say Maharashtra in India, or let's say India. So if I collect all the data and if I start to plot the data, what do you think the weight of child, and suppose this is, so let me erase it, let me make it a better representation. So this is talking about weight of a child, newborn child. So this is talking about weight of or newborn, right? So, and the scale is something like starting from obviously 1 kg, maybe 2 kg, 3 kg, 4 kg, 5 kg, 6 kg, 7 kg, 8 kg. I think that is sufficient. 9 kg, which is rare to happen. But then, yeah, I just said rare to happen, right? So normally you will find that the newborns, if suppose there are 1 CR newborns took a birth in India, what do you think? Where will their own weight lie if I want to plot it on this? How many kids, how many newborns will fall where, in which area? Don't you think? So, like the average, that's why the average centrality, measures of central tendency, it comes into the picture. Now, in our routine day-to-day life as well, we normally say that the average weight of a newborn baby somewhere around 3 to 4 pound, let's say, or 2.5, let's say, 2.5 to 3.5 pounds I'm talking about, which means you simply double it, so it's between 5 to 7, just approximate I'm taking, right? So let's take 10 over here as well, and 11 also. So now, if suppose these are the maximum guys, because average will always lie with the frequency and it will be in the center, right? So you will find over here, the most of the boys will lie between this range. And what will be the frequency of those boys between 7 and 8 kg? Lesser. 8 and 9 kg? Lesser. 9 and 10 kg? Lesser. 10 and 11 kg? Lesser. How about 1 and 2 kg? Lesser. 2 and 3? Little higher. 3 and 4? Maybe little more higher. 4 and 5? Maybe little more higher. It will be like that. If you plot this 1 crore data points, you will get something similar to this, right? Now, the weight of each newborn baby is mentioned over here. So, as we say, if I want to find out the probability that how many newborn, or if suppose I want to expect a newborn baby to be, how much it will be weighted, right? So, normally I will say that it should be around some in this region, because most of them are in this region. In other way, or in other words, what I am saying is, a newborn baby taking birth in India is having a less possibility to be in this area or to be in this area. Okay, maximum probability or maximum possibility that they will fall in this region, right? So this is newborn baby's weight. Like that, we can take height of a person as well. Now simply if I convert this, instead of weight of the newborn, if I say this is height of let us say adult, right? So do you think that huge number of people will be there between 2 and 3 feet height when they are adult? Very less number of people, right? But most of them will be around 5 and 6 feet, or maybe 4.5 to 5.5 feet, right? So you will find a peak over here, right? So any natural phenomena in the world tend to have a normal distribution. That is a basic thing then, right? So this is what we get when it comes to normal distribution. Now points to remember over here are these 3 points. You should always remember, right? Number 1, the normal random variable takes values from minus infinity to plus infinity. Why? Because let us, as I said, the continuous values, right? They will be the continuous variables. So let us take age, weight, or height, or any different measurements, blood pressure as given here, or currency, profits, sales, right? Liters or millimeters, all these measurements, right? So these are all these measurements are continuous variables. Now what values a continuous variable can take? It can take minus infinity to plus infinity. Why? Because what do you think if suppose someone is having a weight of 52 kgs and someone is having a weight of 53 kgs, then how many values will be there which someone else can take, as far as it's if I want to find out his or her weight? There are infinite chances, right? There are infinite possibilities. Why? Because someone may have a weight 52.01 kg, someone may have weight 52.07 kg, someone even may have 52.007 kg, someone may have 52.70010 kg, right? So after decimal you can go up to infinite numbers, and that is why the possible numbers between any two numbers when it comes to continuous data can take infinite values, and that is why the normal random variable takes values from minus infinity to plus infinity. So this is point number 1 to remember. The probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always going to be 0. The probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always going to be 0. Why? Let us understand. Now what is the definition of probability? If I want to find out the probability of a person having a weight, let's say 52 kgs, or if suppose I am having a weight 52 kgs, so or the people who are having what is the probability of people who are having the weight of 52 kgs? So what is the formula over here? Number of interested event divided by total number of events, right? So when we use this formula to calculate the probability of the people who are having the weights 52 kg, let's say 52 kg. Now I am interested in one event that the weight should be 52 kgs. But how many events are possible? Do we know how many people are there with exact 52 kg weight? If I ask anyone that what is your exact weight, can he say 52 kgs? No, even though he is weighing 52 kgs, and because the weighing machines are also truncated, so statistically we are talking about, when we are discussing this matter, we are discussing it from statistical angle, right? So there is a possibility, even though someone is weighing 52.20 kg, there is a possibility that we are talking about 200000000100101 kg, isn't it? Because it can take infinite values, any value, right? So that is why we are not sure about total number of interested events, and when there is no surety about it, we can say there are infinite possibilities. So 1 divided by infinity is going to be always 0, and that is why the probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always 0. This is point number 2 to remember. And third one is area under the curve. Area under entire curve is always equal to 1. Why? As we have seen just now in the example, when I plotted the probabilities, so all the possible events have been plotted because all the frequencies of the people's weight or age have been taken into consideration. Let's say this is a full data available, right? So every person's weight is available over here, and that is why here if we form a curve like this, then the area under this curve is going to be the addition, like we have added 1 by 2 equal to 1, and 1 by 6 plus 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 1 by 6 equal to 6 by 6 equal to 1. This was for discrete probability distribution. Here lot of numbers possibles. So if I add the probability associated with all these events available over here, then it's going to be always 1. The total, the summation of that addition is always going to be 1, and that is why the area under this curve is always going to be 1, right? And these are very, very important points to remember, guys. You must mug it, you must by heart this. You must by heart this. Okay, these 3 are very, very important points. Now let us understand a few more characteristics. And there is something called as empirical rule when it comes to normal distribution. And what is the empirical rule? The empirical rule in statistics allows researchers to determine the proportion of values that fall within certain distances from the mean. So if you see a curve over here, right? If you see a curve over here, now this is talking about a bell-shaped curve. This is a normal distribution. So let's say that this has been plotted for someone's age or maybe weight, not someone's, it is a weight data, or it is a age data, or it is a salary data of an organization maybe, right? So if you see this, then if you are getting this curve in this way, which means that it is a normal distribution, right? Now what they are saying is the empirical rule in statistics allows the researchers to determine the proportion of values that fall within a certain distance from mean, which means what proportion of value is falling in this region, what proportion of values are falling in this region. So if I have age data with me, and if there are 1000 entries, then how much of these entries are falling in this region, how much are falling in this region, how much are falling in this region, that can be determined by using the empirical rule, right? And this empirical rule is often referred to as 3 sigma rule, right? So you see here, this is a 3 sigma point over here. Okay, so it will be used for all the statistical analysis, right? And this 3 sigma rule, or it is also called as 68 95 99.7 rule, which means 68.26%, 95.44%, and 99.73%. Why? Because as I just said in the example, that if you are having 1000 observations, right, and if these observations values are normally distributed forming a bell-shaped curve like this, and if its mean, median and mode is at the center, then 68.26% values from these 1000 data points will always fall in this 1 sigma to -1 sigma range, right? Standard deviation, right? Standard deviation is nothing but average variation from the mean. Standard deviation from the mean, right? So if the data values in normal distribution are converted to z-scores, so what is z-scores? That is our next topic. So I'm not going to cover this z-scores concept in this video. We will cover it in next video, but just to give you some brief idea about it. So when we convert the normal values means, like if in age column I am having 23 as age, 27 as age, 45 as age, 55 as age, then there is one mechanism, there is one concept called z-scores, right? So if I convert these raw values, these original values into their respective z-scores by using something called as z-table, like we have seen in our school days what is log table, right? Similarly, there is a table called z-table, right? So by referring this table, we convert these original values into their respective z-scores, and if we convert them into their respective z-scores, then it is called as a standard normal distribution, right? Then it is called as standard normal distribution. This is a complete new topic. I'm going to cover in detail in the next session, but just I'm using it to understand what is empirical rule for the normal distribution, right? So the empirical rule describes the percentage of the data that fall within specific numbers of standard deviation from the mean for a bell-shaped curve, right? So if I convert these values into their respective z-scores, and if I plot, I will get a curve like this, then 68.26% data will lie between this region, that is 1 standard to minus 1 standard deviation away from the mean. So in normal distribution, as I said, 68% of the data falls within the first standard deviation from the mean. 95% of the data falls within 2 standard deviation from the mean, and so on, right? And that is why this empirical rule is also described as 3 sigma rule. Okay, so just a recap for this empirical rule. So bell-shaped curve is also characterized by these following 3 things, right? These 68.26% values fall in plus minus standard deviation, 95%, 46% of the values lie between plus minus 2 standard deviation, and 99.73% of the values lie between plus minus 3 standard deviation, right? So this is the third characteristics of a normal distribution, right? So majorly the normal distribution is characterized by mean and a standard deviation, because if I change the mean of the data or standard deviation of the data by changing some values within the data, my shape of the curve changes, right? Like if I am having a mu 0 and standard deviation 1, then I will get a shape like this blue curve over here. So I'm naming it blue over here, though it is red, but I'm naming it blue because in the plot you can see the blue curve over there, okay, which is talking about 0 mean and 1 standard deviation. If I continue with the same mean and if I change the standard deviation to plus 0.5, then what happens? The curve, what you can say, it takes a balloon shape. The curve will take a balloon shape. So this is going to be the curve, right? And if I continue with the same mean with 2 standard deviation, I change the data points in such a way that that the data is having a standard deviation of 2 with a 0 mean. If such data is available, then the distribution will look like this green line. And if I change the mu to -1, keeping standard deviation as 1, then you can see this blue plot have simply shifted towards left to be this. And if I continue with the same mean, or if I change the mean to the +1 and same standard deviation of 1, then the same blue chart or plot which was in the middle has been shifted towards its right, because the mean has changes to +1. Earlier it was changed to -1. This is -1 mean, this is +1 mean, and this is 0 mean. Right? So these are the characteristics of a normal distribution. So just a quick recap. Normal distribution is always going to be a bell-shaped curve. The data, if it is following a normal distribution or a perfect normal distribution, then you will have a mirror image on both sides of mean, median and mode, and mean, median and mode will be same in this point of time. And 50% of data towards left of that, and 50% data will be towards right of that. Right? Points to remember, as I said, the normal random variable always is going to take the values from -infinity to +infinity. The probability associated with any single value of a random variable is always going to be 0. Area under the curve is always equal to 1. These three things anyone must remember. Right? Why it is called a bell-shaped curve? Because the shape of the curve is like a bell. And what is the empirical rule? Empirical rule is also called as 3 sigma rule, or 68, 95, 99.7 rule. Why? Because if the data is following a normal distribution, or if I convert the data into its standard normal distribution by converting the original data into their respective z-scores, then what happens? The 68.26% data will lie between -1 to +1 standard deviation. 95.44 will lie between +2 and -2 standard deviation, and 99.73% data will lie between -3 and +3 standard deviation. Right? So that's it for the day. If you have any question, guys, please feel free to send me your queries through any of the mediums, communication mediums available, like YouTube channel is there, Facebook page is there, LinkedIn is there, right? Even my WhatsApp number I have created a button with on Facebook page. You can directly WhatsApp me for your queries. And of course, if you have any suggestions, feedback regarding my teaching style, or maybe the pace of the video, or maybe about the content, okay, or maybe the delivery, right? So you can please give your feedbacks, your suggestions. They are always welcome, right? And I really thank you for watching this session today. If you have liked the session, please hit the like button, and if you have not subscribed to my YouTube channel, then hit the subscribe button and the bell icon beside the subscribe button, so that you will be constantly and continuously updated whenever I will post new videos with new and fresh content and with new learnings. Obviously, I'm going to give all the details, like for Facebook page, LinkedIn account, and then some of the other videos I have already posted for the same module. Okay, all these details will be available in the description of this video. So thank you very much, guys. Bye bye, take care, all the best.